Hi everyone, it's George from Envy. We're at the beginning of July now, and if you're growing tomatoes this year, probably getting to the stage where they are looking quite good. But at this stage, it can be sort of make or break when it comes to harvesting. I'm going to show you 5 key things that we do to keep our plants healthy and productive. So this video isn't about sowing seeds or potting on, it's about mid-season care. So the kind of stuff that stops problems before they start and helps you get bigger, better and tastier tomatoes. So the first thing we'll talk about is watering. So at this stage, the biggest mistake really is inconsistency, especially in hot weather. So if you have a day where you don't water and it's really dry, and then have a day where you water until they're soaked, that's the sort of thing that can cause split tomatoes and blossom end rot. So just try to keep the soil consistently moist, not dry or soggy, and always water the base of the plants and not the leaves, just to avoid encouraging any diseases. So once your plants are flowering and the fruits start forming on them, they need feeding. And that's where Maximato comes in. So Maximato is 100% natural liquid tomato feed, and it's enriched with calcium, magnesium and seaweed. So in the previous tip we were discussing watering and we mentioned blossom end rot. Now blossom end rot can also be caused by a lack of calcium. So what we did with Maximato is we actually enriched it with calcium. So when you're feeding, your plants get that defense against that. So that's another great reason to use Maximato as a feed. But feeding in general, when your plants get to this stage, is just going to help produce a much bigger and healthier plant. And we tested Maximato last year, we're testing it this year, but we tested it against untreated last year. And you'll see the difference on screen now in terms of an unfed tomato plant versus a tomato plant fed with Maximato. Now there are 2 main types of tomato plants, and they're the cordon variety, or indeterminate, or the bush variety, which are determinate. Now we've got a mix of both. In this greenhouse here, we've cordon tomatoes or indeterminate tomatoes. A good way to think about it is determinate means the size of the plant is determined. So they will grow up to a point and then they will stop growing and they will just bush out. So they're the bush tomatoes. Now the cordon ones are the indeterminate, which means they will just keep growing and growing and growing, and they can grow really tall, which as you'll see here, we're kind of training them up the greenhouse. When they get to the top of here, we will pinch the growing tip out. But my main point in explaining the difference here is that with the cordon variety, you want to look at the side shoots and pinch those out. So the side shoots grow, the best way to describe it really is the V shape between the leaf and the main stem. And on cordon or indeterminate varieties, you want to take these out because they're going to take energy away from actually producing your main crop. Now on the other hand, these ones in front of the greenhouse are the bush or determinate variety. So with these, what you want to do is actually leave the side shoots on. Bush varieties are things like Roma or Tiny Tim. And as I say, bush tomatoes are bred to grow to a certain size, and they produce fruit both on the main stem but also the side stems. So if you remove the side shoots on bush tomatoes, you'll actually get less fruit overall. So just remember, indeterminate, remove the side shoots. Determinate, keep the side shoots on. So the next thing is to make sure your tomato plants stay supported. So you'll see here, for example, what Dave's done is actually staked in this tomato with quite a thick bamboo cane. And all he's done is pushed it directly into the soil and then used string to just tie the plant as it's growing upwards. So check the ties, adjust anything that's slipping and add extra support if needed, because curing your tomato plants avoids any snapped stems and it keeps everything upright and productive. So this is also a great time to prune off some of the lower leaves on your tomato plants, especially any that are yellow or damaged or even touching the soil, because when leaves touch the soil, especially if it's damp, it can lead to things like fungal spores, it can attract pests, and if they started to turn yellow, they're not doing much for the plant anyway. So yeah, we've done this on these plants in this greenhouse and just removed the bottom 2 or 3 sets, and by removing the lower leaves, you're improving the airflow around the base, reduces the risk of blight, which is quite a common disease, and it also just helps the plant direct its energy into where it matters, into ripening fruit, rather than into any tired leaves at the bottom. So yeah, as I say, as you can see, bottom 2 or 3 sets of leaves once the first truss of fruit is starting to swell, but don't go up the plant too far too fast. It's a gradual tidy up and not a full chop. This is really one of our favourite times of the year. The plants are thriving, the fruits are swelling, and it feels like all your hard work is paying off. If you've got any of your own mid-season tomato care tips, definitely drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear what's working for you and if you've tried out Maximato. So thanks for watching. If this helped, please subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you in the next one.